Libertarian. Lugar will easily win his 6th term in the United States Senate. Another one, Vermont, Bernie Sanders. He will be elected as an independent senator from Vermont. We can project he will win in Vermont. In Virginia, we do project that the ballot question number 1, the ban on same-sex marriage, that will be approved. That will require marriage being defined as a union between a man and a woman in Virginia. We cannot project a winner in Virginia between the fiercely fought battle between George Allen and Jim Webb. This contest right now, the polling is closed in the Commonwealth of Virginia, but this contest clearly close. We cannot project a winner right now, but we have been able to project the first 2 winners in the United States Senate in Indiana and Vermont. Anderson, no great surprises in either of those races.
In danger. They have Ken Blackwell, the Secretary of State, the Republican candidate for governor.
And we're going to be able to project some winners right now. In West Virginia, Robert Byrd, no great surprise, the Democratic senator. He is easily reelected, beating a challenge from John Racy. And in Ohio, we can now project a winner for the Ohio gubernatorial race. Ted Strickland, the congressman running against Ken Blackwell, we project that the Democrat will be elected the next governor of Ohio.
Ohio has been a solidly Republican state throughout the 1990s. As I mentioned earlier, they've been hit by scandal. The economy has not been good. Ken Blackwell, the Secretary of State that some Democrats blame for tilting Ohio unfairly to Kerry 2 years ago, was the Republican candidate for governor. He is being replaced by Ted Strickland, and we're going to have to watch to see whether the ripple effect, depending on how big Strickland's margin is, knocks off a bunch of Republican House members.
Let's walk over to the Senate, your so-called smart board over here. Didn't even know that he was up for re-election. We can project Ted Kennedy will be re-elected the United States Senator from Massachusetts. Take a look at these other Senate races, though, where we are unable at this point to project a winner. In Maryland between Michael Steele and Ben Cardin. In Tennessee, Bob Corker, Harold Ford Jr. Cannot project a winner. Jim Talent or Clara McCaskill in Missouri can't do it there either. Or in New Jersey, for that matter, between Tom Kean Jr. or Bob Menendez, the incumbent Democrat. We're going to have to wait and see the actual results that come in. We'll be able to weigh that with the exit poll numbers that we received. But in these 4 battleground states, as well as in Connecticut, by the way. At this point, we cannot project a winner yet. Joe Lieberman is the incumbent, the Democrat turned independent. Precincts coming in now that the state is closed, but Ned Lamont is the Democratic challenger. Alan Schlesinger, not much of a factor according to all of the polls. I want to update our viewers now on what's happening in the Commonwealth of Virginia right now, with 23% of the vote now in. Take a look at this. Jim Webb has 50% of the vote to George Allen, the incumbent Republican, with 49% of the vote. Almost a quarter of the precincts now reporting Jim Webb slightly ahead of George Allen, but it's still very early. These numbers are constantly changing right now. 50% for Webb, 49% for Allen, with some 23% of the precincts reporting. And we're going to be showing you these numbers. It was billed as a very close race in Virginia, and by all accounts, it's emerging as about as close as it possibly can be. We don't know, and I want to caution our viewers, we don't know the 23% of the precincts that have reported in Virginia. We don't know if that's from the northern part, the southern part, what part of the state that's coming from, because clearly there's a greater tradition, especially in the recent years, of Democratic strength in the northern Arlington County, Alexandria, the suburbs of Washington, D.C., as opposed to the southern part of the state where it's more traditionally conservative and Republican. Anderson, this race in Virginia emerging as exactly as billed. Thanks very much, Lou. We're ready to make a projection in the House of Representatives in the state of Indiana in the 8th Congressional District. The challenger, Brad Ellsworth, we project will be elected the next United States Congressman from Indiana, the 8th Congressional District, beating the incumbent Republican John Hostetler. This is the first of 15 pickups that the Democrats would need if they're going to be the majority in the House of Representatives. This is number 1. 1 for the Democrats. This would be 14 to go, Jeff Greenfield.
That's right. And this can't be counted as a surprise. As I mentioned earlier, Hostetler was regarded as one of the 2 or 3 most vulnerable Republicans anywhere in the country. His opponent, Brad Ellsworth, is the kind of Democrat that we may see more of, particularly when you move away from the coast and the interior. A county sheriff, self-acknowledged social conservative, and it's one down and 14 to go.
And with 39% of the precincts reporting now, 62% for Ellsworth, 38% for Hostetler. We project Ellsworth will be elected to the United States Congress, a pickup for the Democrats. 1 pickup. Remember, they needed 15. They have 14 to go. We're going to continue our special coverage from CNN election headquarters here in New York. Lots more coming up. We'll update you on what's happening in Virginia, where it's a very, very close race. We'll be right back. CNN projecting also right now that Democrat Deval Patrick will win the governor's race in Massachusetts, defeating the Republican Lieutenant Governor Carrie Healy, succeeding the Republican Governor Mitt Romney. Deval Patrick becoming only the 2nd African-American governor elected in the United States. Deval Patrick, we project, will win the governor's race in the state of Massachusetts. Anderson?
Here at CNN election headquarters, we are now able to project in New Jersey that Senator Bob Menendez is the likely winner over Tom Kean Jr., his Republican opponent. Bob Menendez, the incumbent senator appointed by John Corzine, the governor of New Jersey. Menendez, we now project as the winner in that race.
Actually, I'm sorry, we just got to do a quick projection. CNN is now projecting Sherrod Brown is the winner in Ohio. That it would be a Senate pickup, obviously, for the Democrats.
First of all, in Pennsylvania, another pickup for the Democrats. Bob Casey Jr. Bob Casey Jr. Beats Rick Santorum, the incumbent Republican. That's 2. That's the 2nd pickup that we project for the Democrats. They still will need 4 more, assuming they don't lose any of their Democratic seats right now. A big win in Pennsylvania. Bob Casey Jr., the son of an earlier governor, winning in Pennsylvania. In Texas, we project that Kay Bailey Hutchison will be reelected. Not a surprise. In New York State, Hillary Rodham Clinton reelected. Not much of a surprise. In Michigan, Debbie Stabenow reelected. A little bit less of a surprise, although all of the polls suggested she was way ahead. Let's continue down and take a look at our other projections. In Wyoming, Craig Thomas, we project reelected. Not much of a surprise. In Minnesota, an important seat the Democrats needed to hold. Amy Klobuchar is elected, the next United States Senator from Minnesota. Important win for them. Kent Conrad projected our winner. We project he will be the winner in North Dakota. Jeff Bingaman projected winner in New Mexico. Ben Nelson, the Democrat in Nebraska, projected winner in Nebraska. No surprise there. Herb Kohl, reelected once again in the state of Wisconsin. No surprise there. And in the state of Delaware, Carper, we project, will be reelected as well. All of these, no great surprises, but it's important to note, once again, Pennsylvania, a pickup for the Democrats. Bob Casey Jr. Beating Rick Santorum, we project in Pennsylvania. That's Anderson, the 2nd pickup for the Democrats. They still need 4. By no means easy to do, but they haven't lost any of their own seats, and they've picked up 2. In fact, let's take a look. Let's back up a little bit over here. Come over here. Joe Lieberman, we can now project. Come over here.
All right.
Joe Lieberman, we can project, will be reelected the United States Senator from Connecticut. We can now project that Lieberman, as an independent, stays in the United States Senate, beating Ned Lamont and Alan Schlesinger. Literally, as we were speaking about the Connecticut race, all of the exit polls, all of the hard votes that we're getting indicates to us that Joe Lieberman is now projected to be reelected to the United States Senator. And he promises he will be a Democrat in all but name. He'll caucus with the Democrats. He told the people of Connecticut he would. even if the Republicans were to dangle out some important committee chairmanships.
Such big news that I forgot the choreography.
Right now, we have a major projection to make in the state of Maryland. Congressman Ben Cardin, the Democrat, we project will be elected the next United States Senator from the state of Maryland, succeeding Paul Sarbanes, the longtime incumbent Democrat. Michael Steele, Maryland's lieutenant governor, who ran a very, very strong campaign, not strong enough. Michael Steele goes down, according to our projection. Ben Cardin will be the next United States Senator from the state of Maryland. And we're ready to make another major projection right now. In the state of Kentucky, John Yarmouth, the Democratic challenger, will be elected, we project, in the 3rd District in Kentucky, beating the incumbent Republican Ann Northup. Take a look at this with 100% of the vote right now in, 51% for Yarmouth, 48% for Northup. We project, though, that he will win, obviously, with 100% of the precinct in right now. This is the second major pickup for the Democrats right now. They still need 13 more if they're going to be in the majority in the House of Representatives. But thank you very much. We're now ready to make another major projection in the state of Rhode Island. Take a look at this. The Democratic challenger Sheldon Whitehouse, we project, will be elected the United States Senator from Rhode Island, beating the moderate Republican incumbent Lincoln Chafee. We have very little of the actual vote coming in, but based on the exit polls and other information we're getting, this will be the third pickup for the Democrats in the U.S. Senate. They need 6 if they're going to be the majority, and they can't lose any of their own seats. We've projected that they will retain the Democratic seats in both New Jersey and Maryland, the 2 more vulnerable Democratic seats. So they need 3 more if they're going to be the majority. But we are ready to project that Sheldon Whitehouse will defeat Lincoln Chafee in the state of Rhode Island. Over to the board over here and take a look, because there's another pickup we're ready to make, project in the House of Representatives. Take a look at this. Indiana. Here it is, right over here. Indiana 2, the 2nd District in Indiana. Joe Donnelly, the Democratic challenger to Chris Chicola. We project he will now be the next United States Congressman from Indiana. This is one of those vulnerable Republican seats in Indiana. Chris Chicola, he was one that was considered vulnerable, and now Joe Donnelly, his Democratic challenger, we project will be the next United States Congressman from Indiana in that district. I believe that's the 3rd Democratic pickup in the House of Representatives. They need 15 in order to be the majority in the House. So it's a struggle for the Democrats in the House, but slowly they might be moving in that direction, Anderson. I'm United States Senator from Utah, will be reelected. Orrin Hatch has never had much of a problem getting himself reelected in Utah, does that right now. We cannot project the key Senate race that's closing at this point in Montana, Conrad Burns, John Tester. We're watching that race very, very closely. There are 2 more pickups we can now project in the U.S. House of Representatives for the Democrats. First of all, in Pennsylvania, the 7th District of Pennsylvania, the longtime Republican Kurt Weldon goes down to defeat Joe Sestak, who is his Democratic challenger, will become the next United States Congressman from the 7th District of Pennsylvania. This is a pickup for the Democrats. Another pickup, Jeff, is in Ohio, in the 18th District there. Zach Space, the Democratic challenger, beating Joy Padgett, the Republican incumbent. This is another pickup right now for the Democrats. We can now project the winner in the race for the governor of Florida. Charlie Crist, the Republican, will succeed Jeb Bush as the next governor from the state of Florida. Charlie Crist, who had effectively snubbed the president on the final day of campaigning by not going to the president's rally in Pensacola, he goes on to win the state of Florida.
Lou, thanks very much. We can project actually another race right now, the 11th District in North Carolina. We can project that Heath Shuler has won that race, a Democrat. He ran against Charles Taylor, 8-term Republican incumbent. Candy Crowley traveled to North Carolina, profiled Heath Shuler in the Broken Government series. Surprise?
But we're getting another pickup right now for the Democrats. Take a look at this. Don Sherwood, the Republican congressman from Pennsylvania, the 10th district, he will lose to his challenger over here, Carney, the 54% to 46%. Don Sherwood ran an extraordinary campaign acknowledging an extramarital affair, apologizing to his district, also being sued by his ex-mistress for some sort of abuse, paying her off with some sort of legal settlement. Clearly, that's not what the people in the 10th district in Pennsylvania wanted, and Don Sherwood, the longtime Republican incumbent, losing according to our projection. This is another pickup for the Democrats right now. We are not yet ready to project the winner of the California gubernatorial race, but we are ready to project the winners of Dianne Feinstein and Daniel Akaka. Let's go to Connecticut, the 5th congressional district in Connecticut right now. Another major pickup for the Democrats in Connecticut right now. Take a look at this. In the 5th district of Connecticut, Nancy Johnson, the Republican incumbent, losing to Chris Murphy right now with 43% of the precincts reporting 56-44%. But based on all of the information we're getting, Murphy will win, beating the incumbent Johnson. And by our account, this would be the 10th Democratic pickup in the House of Representatives. Remember, that magic number is 15. They need 5 more without losing any of their Democratic held seats among the 435 seats in the U.S. House of Representatives. They've picked up 10 Republican seats by our projections. They need 5 more. If they get those 5, they will be in the majority, and they will presumably pick Nancy Pelosi to be the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Anderson, I guess the Democrats are getting a little bit more, anticipating a victory in the House. Yeah. All right, Anderson. Thanks very much. We're getting 3 more projected Democratic pickups in the House of Representatives in Arizona. Jeff Greenfield, yeah. Take a look at this. Randy Graff, the Republican incumbent, losing in that Arizona, the 8th district in Arizona. This is a major pickup for the Democrats.
It is. Randy Graff won a primary against the candidate that the establishment Republicans wanted. He ran a very, very, very strong anti-immigration message. He won the primary.
This is the Jim Colby seat.
That's right. The retiring Jim Colby, the only openly gay member of the Congress Republican, refused to endorse him. And that was a district that was looked to be in trouble for the Republicans, and indeed Randy Graff has gone down to defeat.
Here's another pickup in Florida, the 22nd district. Clay Shaw, the longtime Republican incumbent, we project will lose.
And that's another case of a incumbent who, when this year started, would have been on nobody's endangered list. He's as you say, a long-term incumbent. He's a relative moderate, certainly for Florida Republicans, but he has gone down to defeat it.
And Ron Klein will be the next United States congressman from that district, which is part of Fort Lauderdale and that whole area down in Florida. Now take a look at the 9th district in Indiana as well. This is another Democratic pickup.
Yes, and it is a flip-flop-flip. Barron Hill, who lost 2 years ago by about 1,500 votes, has now reclaimed his seat by a not quite the same margin, but by a very narrow margin. Indiana 9 just keeps going back and forth from Republican to Democrats. But you now see something interesting. 3 different states, 2 solidly Republican seats in 1 swing district, all going to the Democrats. And here's another Democratic pickup just coming in. New York State in the 20th district, a longtime Republican, John Sweeney, losing right now. This is a major pickup in the Northeast for the Democrats. Remember my conversation about domestic issues? John Sweeney was a very popular Republican, but the report of a police visiting the home of Congressman Sweeney, embroiled in a domestic dispute with his wife, turned that race around.
John Sweeney and Kirsten Gillibrand is going to be elected the Democratic Congresswoman from New York State in the 20th district. John Sweeney, the longtime Republican incumbent, losing according to our projection. Anderson, they're getting, if they're not at 15 yet, they're almost there.
CNN projects that when all of the votes are in,
all right. I think we are now ready to make a major projection in the House of Representatives based on all the projections we've made so far. It now looks like the Democrats will in fact win control of the House of Representatives, capturing those 15 seats they need without losing their own seats, a net gain of 15. We can now project that the Democrats will be the majority in the next House of Representatives. That means Nancy Pelosi will be the Speaker of the House. That means Democrats will be in charge of all of the various committees in the House of Representatives. It will represent a significant change in the balance of power between the executive and the legislative branches of the U.S. government. The Democrats had hoped that they would get those 15 seats without losing any of their own. It now appears, based on our projection, that the Democrats have done precisely that, and they will be the majority party in the House of Representatives. Can't say that for the Democrats in the Senate. They've picked up a net gain of 3 so far. They need 3 more in the Senate. There are still some very, very close races out there, so we don't know what's going to happen finally in the Senate, but we can project that the Democrats win control of the House of Representatives. A lot of happy Democrats out there right now, and presumably some nervous Republicans, because with the majority status in the House of Representatives, the Democrats will be able to engage in much more robust oversight of the Bush administration, including the subpoena power, if they decide to go down that road. We're going to be hearing from the new leadership in the Democratic Party and the House of Representatives, presumably throughout the night. We'll bring you what they have to say, but we can now project that the Democrats will be the majority in the House of Representatives. All right, Anderson, thank you very much. We project that Maria Cantwell, the incumbent Democrat in Washington State, will be reelected, beating back a challenge from Mike McGavick. Maria Cantwell stays in the United States Senate from Washington State. Take a look at this. We're ready to make 2 more projections. In Nevada, the incumbent Republican John Ensign will be reelected. Not a huge surprise. John Kyle, we project, will be reelected in Arizona as well. The Democrats had held out hope that they had a shot there. Clearly, John Kyle, we project, will remain in the United States Senate.